Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. It is with great pleasure for the International University of Monaco to welcome you all to the first Sustainable Fashion Conference in Monaco. The students of Luxury Fashion and Hospitality have prepared this significant event to talk and discuss a current topic, sustainability. We are very fortunate today to have as our guests many influential, talented, and visionary professionals from different working fields. Today's topic will be different, as we will be exploring new sustainable businesses, as well as those who have become sustainable. As mentioned, the topic of today will be about the usage of sustainability with the former CSR manager at Gucci, now working Accademia Unide, raw material sourcing with the company Lux-Tainable, transformation of bioproducts with founder of B3CO, furniture, deco, and Artemis, fashion in the distribution part with Inessa Creation, a former IUM student. After each presentation, our guests will have a 5-10 minute Q&A session to answer your questions, so please write them down during their speeches. Now let's enjoy this conference, starting with Mrs. Rossella Ravagli. Rossella currently holds the position of Director of the 3-year course of Higher Education in Sustainable Fashion at Accademia Unide at Fondazione Pistoletto in Italy. She has a degree in Statistical and Economic Sciences and a master's degree in Quality. From 2008 to 2020, she defined and implemented a purposeful sustainability strategy for Gucci, building a qualified, high-functioning sustainability department and team, and a very ambitious project portfolio, increasing the culture and the awareness globally. Now let's get some inside secrets directly from someone who's been there and done it. Would you please welcome Mrs. Rossella Ravagli? Good afternoon, Rossella.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for your invitation. And
thank you for being here with us today.
And congratulations for your initiative. I like a lot the match of Lux-Tainable. So
well, it's a very common topic nowadays, so it's definitely important to discuss this topic.
Yes,
so thank you for your contribution. Well, we're all here.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much. And also the name of your event is absolutely important because assign a very important aspect related to the fact that sustainability and luxury is absolutely not an oxymoron. So I spend the time that you asked me to use for my presentation. I don't use PowerPoint. I prefer to share my experience. And I'm sorry, did you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Because I had some bit noise, but the important thing that you... Oh, perfect. Thank you so much. So I spent this time to describe my experience in social responsibility and sustainability field. With a specific focus on the experience that I carry out in a specific area of luxury. That is an area for sure that on which you are absolutely interested on, and some insights regarding also the future trend of luxury sector in terms of sustainability. And also the future regarding some project about my side for my new professional career. So I started to work on CSR and sustainability almost 25 years ago. So a long time ago. And as you can imagine, and I can guarantee you, when I start to work on this topic were absolutely not well known, and the level of knowledge was very, very low. I started to work to embrace this topic from a particular point of view, the point of view of the certification body, so a very technical point of view, but it was I think that I was lucky because when you start a new topic and you have the possibility to go deeper in all the technical aspect, it's a very good manner to understand very well also the approach of this topic and also the type of implementation that you also can propose to the company. Again, when I started, companies started to face with some challenges, especially related to the production. So in this period, many companies, many multinational companies were involved in some scandal related, for example, the use of child labor or forced labor in their supply chain around the world. So there was an incredible necessity, an incredible need to have some specific tool to evaluate, to measure, to monitor, and to improve the condition in the supply chain, and a tool that could be a sort of instrument also to control the reputation of the company. So when the company proposed me to go deeper and to study, because in that period I spent a lot of time to study, to research, and in 1996, I gained a qualification as auditor in social responsibility. I was, I think, the first auditor at European level on this topic, and I started to also to travel around the world to verify and to understand the condition of the companies in the supply chain, in the global supply chain. And take into consideration that some aspect, some concern related to the supply chain are very current also nowadays. So topic related to child labor or even forced labor or health and safety are unfortunately still very common in most of the supply chain around the world. So it means that now the awareness is for sure increased a lot, but 20 years ago, also the level of awareness were very, very low. So I invested a lot of time, a lot of my time to increase the awareness, to train many people around the world with the purpose to empower them, to the purpose to convince also the CEO of the company that it was too important to embrace this challenge. Even if 20 years ago, it is not so easy for the CEO of the company to understand why the company needs to be responsible. Because if the company respects the law, the company is already responsible. That is not true. So social responsibility and sustainability needs to go beyond the law. Is one of the mantra that I embrace since the beginning of my career. And so my first 12 years of my professional career were dedicated to enforce the topic of CSR and sustainability from a technical point of view. And during this period, I remember that I spoke a lot during many many events, and during this particular seminar in 2003, I met a director, a representative of Gucci. And when his HR director listened to me, he told me, "Oh, Rossella, you absolutely needed to come to the company to train our manager on the importance of to take under control the supply chain, because it's something that as a luxury company, we absolutely need to do." So I started to also meet the company, even if I was in charge of the certification body, but I started to introduce the topic of CSR and sustainability, and try to also share with responsible in production or in research and development regarding the important to understand what's happened in the supply chain, where clothes, shoes, bags were made, and in which condition these products were made, and also something regarding not only people, but regarding also environmental, and regarding also the material that the company are using. So I started to put some seats inside of the company, even if I was an external representative. And because I would like also to point out that is very important also the gradual approach is another important aspect on which I focus my attention in my career. Anyway, in 2008, in 2007, the company decided to be also certified against ASA 8000, a certification related to the social condition and human rights and worker rights inside of the company and in supply chain. And I follow as external this type of certification. And in 2008, the company asked me if I would like to join the company. So they asked me to be part of the company with the purpose to build inside, so within the company, because it would be necessary to have a strategy because they needed to create a team. They need to create everything. So I start my second journey. So the first journey was 12 years, specifically dedicated to develop tools, to convince managers, to train people. And the second part of my career was dedicated to this luxury company, Gucci, starting from 2008 to 2020. And when I started, I remember very well, at the end of 2008, one of the first things that I had in my mind was, okay, I am alone because I didn't have a team. And even if I knew the company, but I was in a new role. I was in charge as a CSR manager, as a director, but as a CSR manager. So which leverage could I take to start this amazing journey? And I immediately thought that the leverage of training was absolutely the important leverage that I could use. Why? Because I remember to train around 700 managers, employees, and workers, because the purpose that I had is again to raise a lot the awareness. I have to share with them the importance to go ahead on this topic, and also to understand what does it mean for a company to be sustainable. What does it mean in terms of supplier, in terms of materials, in terms of people? What does it mean? So it was fundamental to understand, to transfer knowledge about this, with the purpose to increase their knowledge and their awareness. And it was fantastic because after this, I had a lot of people on board. So it was not easy, but easier to build a project together, because for sustainability department, it's fundamental to work with all the departments of the company, from communication to merchandising to research and development to production to creative department. So it's fundamental to have a sort of ambassadors in each department of the company. This is another important aspect. And so I started to implement a project. I remember that one of the first projects that we made with production, with creative department, with packaging department was to change our packaging. So from plastic packaging to paper packaging, completely FSC certified. So it was a packaging, is a B2C packaging, so the shopper for our customers, and it was an incredible, it was 2009, and we save a lot of plastic because we eliminated all the plastic, including in packaging, and we save a lot of CO2. We had the calculation. So in terms of the environmental, was an incredible pioneer project in 2009. And I remember, for example, in 2012, we decided to launch the first collection with bio-based material. So the biodegradable shoes or the eyewear with instead of plastic with another material from natural based material. So some pilot projects.
So these were basically the first goals that you created for when you after joining Gucci. This was one of the primary goals that you had in mind when you joined the company.
Yes, when you joined the company. Just only to tell you that it was many years ago. So, yes. And then it was an increasing because the projects were increased a lot. And so the company asked me to also to start the creation of the team. And so I also built a team. I built a strategy. The first strategy was launched in 2011, 2012, and the second one was launched in 2017, 2016, 2017. And the strategy reflected also the new awareness that also at international level were growing. So the climate change, the biodiversity. So we move and we try also to embrace new challenges with the purpose to embed it in the strategy.
Absolutely, absolutely. And speaking of the team, what kind of training have you created for the team, for the managers after joining the company?
Yes, for the team, the global team of the company, I try to design a format just only in 1 hour, not more, 1 hour and a half, because as you can imagine, people had not enough time. So I try to be very focused on, and I started to speak about people. Because I completely, since the beginning and also now, I think that the first center of the strategy and the business strategy and the sustainability strategy needed to focus on people at the center of the organization. So I started.
What were they lacking the most at the moment? What did you notice that you were lacking the most?
Sorry, I didn't get the question. Please. Can you repeat?
When you joined the company, what were the people lacking the most? What did you notice it was lacking the most?
To be honest, many things, because it was not easy for them to understand how a luxury company could be joined in a sustainability path. Because they didn't understand. So, for example, the company use leather, or the company use fur, until the company decided in 2017 to stop it, to ban fur. But also the use of leather is not something bad. It depends on which manner you source leather.
Yep.
Which type of attention you have. So the animal welfare, so the country of the origin of leather, and so on. So it's a quite complex. It's not something that you can simply tell yes, no, okay? And because sustainability is an equilibrium. And what I share since the beginning, that it's something that needs to be integrated to the business strategy. So the success is to integrate it in the business strategy. So for example, we needed to open a new store. Perfect. So what does it mean? We need to think the store in a sustainable way. So in terms of material, in terms of use of energy, in terms of many things. Or you decided to work with a new supplier. Perfect. What about the supplier? What about the condition of the supplier? Where is the supplier? So the context, everything.
Yeah. Do you think is it more important to start developing sustainability internally or in the shops? Or both?
Sorry, externally or in it?
Internally, is it more important to focus on sustainability internally in the company or in the shops, or maybe both in the same time?
Okay, internally means to enforce the commitment of the company. Okay, so it's very important to share since the beginning, first, to realize that there is a strong commitment at a top management level, starting from the president. And this is something that is fundamental. And absolutely also with the manager. So it's very important to share the strategy. Okay, because if the company and the manager and top management and the company is convinced of this, perfect. We are ready to also to start.
To the next step. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. In fact, at the beginning, I started to absolutely courses dedicated to all people inside of the company, but also I organized a seminar for the supply chain, because since the beginning I told, be careful. To be sustainable means also to share and to engage all the supply chain. The supplier are partners. So I often thought, and I often spoke about Gucci system, not only Gucci. And
You have been working for a very long time in luxury fashion. We have a very interesting question. Do you really think that luxury can be compatible with sustainability? How luxury fashion can nowadays, in our times, be compatible with sustainability?
I always think that sustainability and luxury were absolutely not an oxymoron, absolutely, because luxury means also durability of product, and durability is a characteristic, for example, of the eco-design of the products in terms of sustainability. So there are many characteristics embedded in luxury that absolutely needed to be part of the sustainable pathway. So I remember that also when I spoke with merchandising or creative or also people in the store, I told it is fundamental, because when customers buy our products, our clients need to buy values, not only products. Values.
Definitely.
And it's fundamental. So value means quality, that for luxury needs to be excellent, okay? But
do you think that in order to produce quality, brands should produce less so that can be sustainable?
Okay, probably another mantra could be less is more. Less probably
is more.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
So less
Thank you so
more,
much.
better quality, actually.
I think so. I think so. That does not mean that fast fashion is absolutely something to avoid, because we also know that not all people can buy luxury products. So we need also give the possibility to open also the possibility to buy also to other people, absolutely. But be careful, because we need to embrace new business model in both luxury and also fast fashion. Okay, yeah, probably definitely. Fast fashion, you understand, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we would like to also congratulate you for your new collaboration with Fondazione Michelangelo Pistoletto and Accademia Unide. Regarding this new collaboration, according to you, how can sustainability inspire a new way to do fashion?
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. I like a lot, and I was so honored and enthusiastic also to embrace this new proposal, this collaboration with them, because as you probably understand, I believe a lot in training. I also, during my experience in Gucci, I have dedicated a lot of time to students. Students for me means new generation. Students means to have the possibility to share all the aspects with the purpose to create, since the beginning, a new mindset in a new designer, in new people in research and development, and so on. So I think that now for luxury, more than ever, is absolutely important for luxury and new fashion designer also to really learn a lot by nature. Also during this terrible period and during this pandemic, we absolutely realized how the nature is important, is everything for us. So the relationship also of the relationship between fashion design and nature needs to change. So from dominated to participation. And we need also to move on a new era. So from extraction era to regeneration era. For me, yes, this is the future.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have one question. What do you think are the skills needed to work in sustainability today?
Okay. Sustainability, you have also to imagine I love this word, holistic approach, okay, because we touch many things, okay. I would like to tell you that it is important to have the sensitive to understand. So absolutely people that comes from sociology or anthropology, for example, could be good, but we need also to have some skills related to the environment, because we have to evaluate also the impact in terms of social and environmental side. So there is a mix of skills. Probably technical skills, yes, but also operational and management skill are important, because a sustainability manager needs also to be a sort of orchestra director. I love to share with you. So
absolutely.
It's a mix of competence.
Yeah, you mentioned at the beginning of your speech that sustainability should go beyond law. Now, do you think that in order to foster sustainability, is it more necessary to have like a juridical review or environmental laws, or perhaps more actions from the NGOs? What do you think would be the best approach?
I think that this part is very, very important, and is fundamental, especially when you have to understand the complex and global supply chain, to be able to understand and go deeper to analyze the context, social, economical, and legislation context. So it's very important. is very important, especially when you need to analyze the global supply chain. And there is another important topic, and thank you so much for your question, because I would like to point out the aspect related to the stakeholder engagement approach. That is a key skill to have. So it's fundamental to be able to create a very strong relationship with all the stakeholders. That it means also NGOs, environmental association, animalist association, and many other, is fundamental, because you need to be able to understand their needs and to understand where we can embed these needs in our strategy. Even if the mission of the company and NGOs are different, but at the end, both, we want to improve the condition of society in terms of social and environmental side.
Absolutely. We will take one last question. Now, you have been following the evolution of the big luxury groups throughout the years in terms of sustainability. What would be your advice for the young designers in order to get more involved in sustainability projects, creating brands, and how do you think it would be the best approach for them to increase the brand awareness globally of their brands?
I think that now, more than ever, it's important to match sustainability with innovation, because we need also designer and people, and also young people or new people, that is also try to match and to include and to think in innovative way in terms of social and environmental. So sustainability and innovation, and so it means also new technology, needs to work together with the purpose to amplify the impact. So open your mind, be passion. So the passion is fundamental, passion. And also, please go ahead. Don't worry if at the beginning seems difficult, if it seems that is difficult to open the door, if also something seems a bit too greenwashing. So, okay, be careful, for sure, open your eyes, be skeptical, but try to be also positive. Try to go ahead. Don't lose your mission.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Rossella, for these very precious insights, and it's been a pleasure having you here with us today.
Thank you so much to all of you and for your invitation. Thank you.
Thank you. So our next topic will be about raw materials sourcing, and it's our pleasure to have with us today serial ethical entrepreneur Jessica Kruger, founder of the brand Lux-Tra London. Originally from Sydney, Australia, Jessica spent her childhood between the beach and the bush. The journey of Lux-Tra began in 2012 when Jessica's mother, Shayla, took a sabbatical to volunteer at Farm Sanctuary in California, a happy forever home for animals saved from factory farming. Watching the documentary Forced Overnight to understand what her mother was embarking upon, Jessica adopted a plant-based way of life. So let's hear more directly from our guest. Would you please welcome Mrs. Jessica Kruger? Good afternoon, Jessica.
Hi there, thanks for having me.
Jessica.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Jessica.
Hi, thanks for having me. Am I all okay live?
Yes, we can hear you very well. Thank you for being here with us today.
Perfect. I've got the slides on my computer. Shall I share that way?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. So, where are we? Okay. So, thanks for having me here today, and thank you for everyone listening for joining my session. As Paula said, I'm Jessica Kruger. I'm the founder of a sustainably minded fashion accessories brand called Lux-Tainable. We're a direct-to-consumer brand that makes bags, backpacks, wallets, and other accessories from many of the leading bio-based materials currently on the market. It's raining quite heavily here, so hopefully you can hear me. I'm based in London, and all of our manufacturing takes place in Italy. So this is sort of the mood and theme of Lux-Tainable. We work with, as you can see on the left, an apple leather material. And then on the right, a Pinatex, which is based on pineapple leaves. So what we're quite known for is the most innovative materials, plant-based materials on the market, working with those for our products. So today I want to give you a little bit of an introduction, tell you a little bit more about me and why I chose to be following a sustainable path, and then also touch on industry insights. I mean, Rosella went into them very nicely. Hopefully I can bring them a point of view from a small brand and somebody very much doing, the startup thing. So there's circularity, supply chain, greenwashing, plastics, looking at margins and money, and then also customer perceptions. And then I'll touch finally on raw materials, given that's probably my speciality. So I'm Jessica. I grew up in sunny Australia, down under, where droughts, water restrictions, bushfires were very much part of life. Coming from Australia, you've also got lots of poisonous and dangerous animals. So, nature looms large in life. And I was brought up to really respect our planet and the animals that live on it. I moved to Europe 12 years ago when I was 20. And then I went home, as you mentioned, my mother, Sheila, went to California. I was at home at Christmas. I was learning about what she was doing because in a few months' time, she was going to go away to California and work on this animal farm sanctuary. Let's see if that's, this is my mum. She's 55. And she went to volunteer in the United States by herself, for 6 months. So I was like, that's really cool, Mum. That's great, but why? So I watched a documentary, as you alluded to, and Forks Over Knives. It's more about health, to be honest, but it showed a lot of the factory farming industry, which, I was in tears watching this documentary. And then pretty much 1 minute to the next, I was like, right, I'm not touching any of these products again. So I became more or less vegan. But back in 2013, vegan definitely wasn't cool. But it's something, the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is because I care so deeply about doing something for our planet. I can't do a job where I'm just plodding along doing something that doesn't feel very meaningful. For me, I want to solve some problems. And I think this image for me has always stood out as such a stark reminder of what a difficult place our planet is in. Yeah, I like these sorts of images. It's like they say, a picture tells 1,000 words. So my next step was, because I was a new vegan. I was living in Geneva at the time in Switzerland, and being a new sort of vegan person in 2013, there wasn't a lot of choice back then, basically. And so I said, right, I'm going to start a restaurant. And I tried to do it in Geneva, but for various reasons, I moved to London to do it. So this is my restaurant that I started. It's called Ethos. It was in central London. It was going for many years, but unfortunately with the pandemic, it's now shut down. And I did this for several years. The idea with Ethos was never to preach, because I think as soon as you start telling people off, you lose them. A bit like Rosella was saying, positivity is what it's all about. And so I wanted to create a beautiful space where people be excited by the food. And so this is what Ethos was. So this is what I did for several years. And then for various reasons, I departed in 2016. And then I went on to start Lux-Tainable, which was my next big passion. So, veganism and what we eat is one big area that I really care about. But then also fashion was something that a lot of us love fashion. And so I saw, this was again back in 2016, there weren't really any vegan leathers or any alternatives on the market. All beautiful handbags are always made from leather. And that never gelled with my own values. So Luxtra, I'm a very small self-funded brand. It's pretty much just me plus someone who helps me with a bit of admin. I've been going, it launched in 2018. I started working on it in 2017. Last year, we became a certified B Corp, which was a hugely proud moment. Being vegan brand is very much part of what we do. And I'm very committed to that. And then we've had a few awards or come runner up in a few things recently. So it's nice to see that, even if you're very small, you can still make an impact. So what's next? So getting enough about me, let's talk about what you're all here to learn about. So what did I write for this? Sustainability. So the circularity, sorry. Sustainability is, of course, the topic du jour at the moment. It's like the word on every website, every media article. It's everywhere. But I think circularity is going to be the next step of that. So I think for those of you out there learning about this world of sustainable fashion, sustainable luxury, I think circularity is something to be really well aware of and to spend some time researching and understanding. I would say that earlier I said Luxtra is a sustainably minded fashion brand. And I try to always use the phrase sustainably minded, because if you say you're a sustainable fashion brand, I mean, that's a big claim. Sustainability always has this vagueness to it. And that's why greenwashing, which we'll touch on later, is so prevalent, because it's quite easy to sort of tweak the numbers and like tell people that to exaggerate things. Whereas circularity is sort of much more black and white. It's much stricter. And I chose this illustration here because, again, I'm a big visual person, as you can probably start to see. It explains it very well. A linear economy is what we all have now, pretty much. You make, you use, and you bin it. Sometimes we have recycling, hopefully more and more, but at the end, things tend to lose their value. So, the value tends to be degraded. You might have t-shirts and maybe you put them in the clothes recycling, but those t-shirts are not going to come out as brand new t-shirts. They're going to come out as like mattress stuffing or like blankets that they give to people to keep them warm, so they've been devalued. And eventually the devaluation will continue and it will go back into the bin at the very end. So the circular economy, and again, I'm not quoting the official definition here, but this is my view of it. It's basically, what did I say? Basically reusing things as much as possible at their level. And then once they become, actually, it's not a very good example. I've got something written down that's much better. Sorry. In a nutshell, here we go. Circularity is a way of deliberately designing products and supply chains so that products and materials can be kept constantly in use and nothing goes to waste, which is very much this nice circle here. And there's a lot of things that circularity will touch on, such as the packaging. So it's not just the product itself, but you need to think about, okay, this thing does probably need to be packaged because it's fragile or it's a very expensive luxury item. We can't just put it in the post and it's going to arrive perfectly. So packaging and thinking about, okay, well, what will happen to that packaging once it's used is something very important in circularity. Perhaps it's biodegradable. So biodegradability is part of circularity. It's not that nothing can go into the bin, but it just needs to break down and be used again in a new, plant life form, if that makes sense. One final point on circularity: the people that talk about sustainability, circularity, is the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, which is a British-based foundation. you might have heard about Ellen MacArthur. She was one of the women who sailed solo around the world, and as a result, she saw so much ocean plastic that she was like, right, I'm devoting my life to this. So yeah, I would very much recommend looking at circularity if you're interested in this space, because this is where sustainability is heading, in my opinion. So I touched on supply chain a minute ago, but I would say that sort of in terms of sustainability, every aspect of your supply chain needs to be looked at. It's not just the fibers that you're using, for example, but it's also the wages that people are paid. Where does the cotton or the the base materials? In my case, it's apple or it's polyurethane, because my products aren't perfect and there is plastic / polyurethane in them. So where are these coming from, and can you improve the process at every stage, basically? And I think being a responsible brand means that you know about every tier. I've recently tried to find out information about my tier 3 and 4 suppliers. It's very, very difficult. People are very cagey. So, I think it's a big brand or other brands out there. If you can start to do some research, at least start to get a feeling for it, it's a good place to. It's an important part of being a sustainable brand. It's not just, oh, we use organic cotton.
And it will definitely develop more in the upcoming years. I think it's more and more as a trend of nowadays, and people need to have this kind of information at this point.
Yeah, exactly. So, I didn't know before I started, I'm not a fashion background. I didn't know about tiers until maybe 2 years ago, which is a bit embarrassing, but hey. So yeah, it's something to research and to get a good feel for. I mean, it's easy for brands to say on paper that yes, we pay living wage and none of our workers work overtime. But I think a really good way of getting to know your supply chain better is physically going, not very easy these days, but physically going to those different manufacturers. So not just the person who's sewing, but also going a step up where the materials come from. If you can, go the next step up, which is, for me, it's also
totally.
It's also like hardware, because I don't use yarn and I don't use cottons and textiles. So it's understanding what applies to you as tier 3, what applies to you as tier 4, and trying to meet those suppliers.
And see the entire supply chain. Yep.
Yeah, and I think you can get a good gut feel of things. If you're visiting, you'll get a feeling of like, are these people like a bit dodgy? So it's not always what's written on paper. It's not always like documentations and certifications. I think actually going somewhere and seeing it for yourself is really, really important. Again, not easy right now, but hopefully soon. What else have I got? So plastic. Plastic was fantastic, but now these days it seems to be public enemy number 1. One thing I'm going to talk about is packaging is plastic, but then there's also plastic in raw materials, which is particularly applicable to me and my products, probably less so with garments. I'll get onto the raw materials later because I'll come to materials, but there's a huge amount of plastic used. If you're in the industry, you probably know about poly bags, which are the plastic bags that wrap products to protect them in shipment. Yes, we need to protect products whilst they're in transit. But I think there's probably a smarter way, and I think we're doing it a bit too excessively. It's probably not super scalable for larger businesses, but at least in my case for Luxtra, I ask, well, they know they'll get in trouble with me if they don't remember. My manufacturers in Italy, they have to use recycled paper, if not paper that's been used and discarded for something else, clean, obviously, to package my products. And I've never had any issues not using plastic to ship things in. So, I think where there's a will, there's a way. A bit like Rosella said earlier, that it's also got to come from the top. As much as, you know, you might be employees in a larger brand, and maybe you want to also have this plastic-free initiative, but it's really got to be escalated or come down from the top for it to hopefully be a uniform procedure that the company abides by.
Yeah.
I mean, plastic, yeah, it's a tough one. It does such a good job at what it does. There are some interesting, I think that's called TIPA from Israel, which does a biodegradable plastic alternative. There's lots of new alternatives coming out that are biodegradable in a certain amount of time. So I would hope that many brands who still need to rely on plastic can maybe find an alternative source. I'll touch on margins a little bit later because of course these things cost more. Was touched on earlier, again, greenwashing, which is basically, as I said, companies that exaggerate the claims that they make to make them appear more eco-friendly and like planet lovers when they're really not, or they're doing the minimum and paying lip service to it. It's a really frustrating state of affairs, especially when you see them on billboards like all around the city, which I'm doing right now in London. But I'm confident that consumers are starting to, we're starting to wake up. There's a huge part of the population that's still learning about these things. And my mentor, she talks about us being in an Oatly bubble, like we're all aware of like all the different alternative milks and like trying to recycle and using our reusable coffee cups and things. But there's a huge part of the population that doesn't think about these things, not because they don't care, but they're sort of, it's not on their radar. They've got more pressing issues. So I think greenwashing, I think it's also a marketing thing. Like whenever there's some advantage to have, companies going to try and say that they've got it. It's not super nefarious in its own right. It's just sort of the way people do business, any advantage they can get. But there is some greenwashing legislation, hopefully, that will be passed later this year, both in the UK and in the EU. Nothing's set in stone as yet, I believe, but hopefully there will be some legislative changes, as you mentioned earlier. So probably what I would say, so the B Corporation, the B Corp certification, I think is a really good way to offset greenwashing, because if you don't know what it is, a B Corp certification is basically a very, very difficult set of questions and questions that you have to answer about your company across 5 different categories that if you do get a good score, you can become a B Corp. And and as a result of becoming a B Corp, it's a really good indicator to people that you're not greenwashing, basically, I would say. That you walk the talk, you really do mean what you say.
And involved and committed to 100%, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a difficult certification to obtain because you have to achieve a really high standard across 5 different aspects of the supply chain. So it touches your consumers, it touches your workers, it touches, and not just your workers in your business, but the workers in your supply chain, the environment, the community, so sort of stakeholders, and as well as governance. So, if the people at the top, if it's really not diverse, if, it's owned by a holding company that's based in some tax haven, you're not going to score so highly on those things. So really, it's a very holistic way of certifying that a company is doing a pretty good job. If it's sort of something new to you, I'd recommend checking out B Corporations and the brands themselves that are B Corps. There's lots of consumer-facing ones, and I really go out of my way to support those brands and buy from those brands because I know that they're really doing a good job. Margins are just basically, in a nutshell, I just want to say that if you're going to be sustainable, sustainable, and you're going to be really doing business well, you're going to be paying more across the board. You're going to be paying higher wages. You're going to be buying raw materials that are more expensive because they've been made fairly and people have been paid appropriately throughout the supply chain. And you're going to be paying more because, you know, maybe you're offsetting your carbon footprint, maybe your you know, if you work with toxic waste, you're not going to be dumping it. You're going to have to like pay for that to be treated and taken away and taken care of responsibly. So all this to say that, unfortunately, sustainability at the moment, because it's not the norm, there's a green premium, as Bill Gates has sort of talked about, on doing business more responsibly, because that's not how capitalism has been for most of the last century. So yeah, just you need to be aware of it, because if you have shareholders, they need to be on side, shareholders or governance boards, that yeah, maybe your margins and your profitability will be less because you're being a better company, because you're not taking the shortcuts. So just to put that out there. I'll just touch briefly on customer perception. So as you'll see in a minute, I work with a lot of very interesting materials, like sort of partly made out of apple, corn, cactus, pineapple leaves. And it's very interesting. Again, as I talked about, there's the Oatly bubble who may have heard about these materials, but then you go out to new consumers, if you like, and you know, they're like, oh my gosh, sorry, this is supposed to be animated. It's not animating. You know, it's like, my gosh, you can make a bag out of a pineapple. Then they usually want to smell it, which is quite funny. So
I think it's the natural instinct of humans, you know, because we're not used to having products made out of fruits or vegetables. So
exactly. And then usually they'll become a little bit skeptical. They'll be like, yeah, but is it as good as leather? And, you know, is it going to wear and tear? And well, why is it so expensive? It's not even leather, you know. So this is sort of the way consumers will start to react to, in my experience.
And I think this is also a good point for brands like yours to educate the population about sustainability, about, you know, making the planet a better place, in using these kind of materials to produce the goods that we use on an everyday basis.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm just careful of time. So again, I'll touch on the materials that I use. So this is taken from Luxtra's website. I think part of also being a sustainably minded brand is being very transparent. So putting as much information on your website or in marketing materials as you can, so that people can understand what's happening. And you can say, you don't have to be perfect. You know, I say on my website that there is only 20% apple in the apple leather. The rest is, unfortunately, polyurethane. But there's a reason for that, which I also explain. So I also work with cactus, corn, and various linings. So here's some of the products that I made from these different materials. So this is made out of Pinatex, pineapple, leaf fiber. This is a mango bag I made. Apple, cactus, corn, I think that's it. And I've also, you know, I think my apartment here is pretty chock-a-block full of interesting materials. I've worked with quite a few and always looking out for the next thing that might be even more eco-friendly. So my experience, just to, I've got a bit of time, working with these alternative bio-based materials has been an interesting journey. One thing I would say is, if you're going down this route, is to find a really good manufacturer, because as much as, well, I work with Italy. This manufacturer is Paolo here. He makes bags for some of the biggest brands in the world, the Italian luxury brands. But they hadn't worked with pineapple leaf fiber, for example, when I started working with them. And it does take them, it's not the same. And they have to learn how the material handles. Sorry about the noise. Another issue that I've had to grapple with is durability. So here is an example of a bag, of a wash bag that over time has come, hasn't shown its durability as much. All of these things that I'm highlighting have, really sorry about the noise, I have flagged with these material manufacturers, and hopefully, and I know that some of them have made improvements, but it's also to show you the journey that,
yeah, incredible.
At one time this was happening. This is a mango bag that I worked, a mango leather bag. It didn't have polyurethane in it. And unfortunately, probably for that reason, it started cracking, and it wasn't standing up the test of time. So that's part of the reason why polyurethane at the moment is quite necessary, unfortunately, in my products.
Yeah.
Here's another mango product that I worked with. I'd given them a bit more time, and they said this batch should be better, but the look and feel, these have got chunks in it. It is uneven. It's got blemishes. Unfortunately, it's not saleable for my consumer. So, again, the evolution of the products. Again, evolution of Pinatex. You can see that, they're experimenting. They're trying to get this right. So, as things progress, the material will change. The backing is quite important, because as much as you can have, it's cactus on one side, whatever the backing is made of, if it's like polyester, that's not a great thing for your sustainability credentials. So this is the cactus one, for example, which is this one here. And it's just interesting, 33% of the material can be the backing. So it's an interesting thing to keep an eye out for. And then embossability is another thing. It's quite technical, but I just put it in there. How well the material will last the test of time. How well the material will take embossing, and how well that will last is another thing to look out for in these new materials. Other things when using these new materials that you can come across is lead time is something that's quite important. A lot of these products aren't in stock. You have to order them, and sometimes the minimum order quantity can be 150 meters, which is several thousand euros worth of product. So for smaller brands, it's quite a big chunk of change, if you like. You also want to think about the carbon footprint. The cactus leather, for example, is coming from Mexico, so you have to ship it across the Atlantic Ocean. I'm not choosing to make any new cactus leather products until they have product in Europe. And then also to say that price of these materials is very expensive for now, because they're new on the market. They're made of very innovative materials, innovative raw materials. So the processes aren't at scale yet. And I think that's almost where I'm at. So again, repeating Rosella's encouragement is that there is a big world out there to make better, but it's baby steps, and you just not got to give up, because if everyone gives up, then nothing's going to happen. So yeah, I wanted to say
absolutely. Thank you, Jessica. This has been really a very inspirational story, and congratulations for creating a great sustainable brand, and for getting you involved so much in this mentality. We would like to ask you, because you mentioned a few of the materials that you use for your collections. How do you source them, and with how many suppliers do you work at the moment?
Yeah, I source them by contacting the material manufacturer directly themselves, often with mixed results. I think it took me at least a year for Pinatex to reply to me. There's a grape leather in north of Italy where they'll only talk to me if I'm buying product. So it's pretty hard. And a lot of people now come to me because they see it on my website. I've got all the information on there, and say, how do I get in touch with this person? Isn't replying to me. Where is the information about this? So it's great because people are wanting these products. But unfortunately, I think because of the demand, it's very hard for these companies that are manufacturing the materials to reply to everybody. But I would suggest persistence, and then trying to find someone to introduce you.
Yeah, definitely.
That,
that's important in every field of activity, isn't it? In terms of your suppliers, we have a question. Let's say one of them would not respect the sustainability related standards that you're talking about. You personally, what would you do? Would you choose to continue working with that supplier, or would you choose to select maybe another one, or to pick another option?
I'd be pragmatic. If I had the material already in my hands, for example, or the product that they've made, I would use that material up because I don't like waste. But then pretty quickly I would try and find an alternative. Obviously, depending on the relationship, I would try to, give them some feedback and say, listen, this isn't great. But I found a lot of the suppliers I work with, well, probably 50% of the material people just not interested. They're just probably because they don't have enough time. Probably because I've got no idea what's going on in their situation, and there's probably a reason for it.
For sure. For sure. Is it longer to make fashion accessories and natural products, like the ones that you use, than the ones produced with leather?
What was the question? Is it
longer to make these accessories with the product that you use than if you were using leather?
The sampling time is longer, but production should be the same.
Should be the same, right? Are these products, accessories, feasible on a larger scale using this type of materials?
You mean, could you explain a little bit
more? You
mean,
can you produce on a larger scale as a brand? Do you envision producing on a larger scale, or do you need to focus on smaller collections because you use this type of materials?
I would say no, at these materials scale. I remember Deserto, the cactus leather company, saying they can produce 500,000 meters a month, maybe. So they've got capacity to scale. Yeah. The apple leather also does. Who else do I use? The corn-based material definitely does. Yeah. So these the ones that are commercial and on the market, yes, they are almost all of them scalable. And if you're talking about me and my particular collections, yes, I would like to grow my business, but I also don't want to do that and have heaps of stuff left over that people don't want. I think it's something I struggle with. The world doesn't really need more stuff. So I've got to try and keep that in mind and try and work out how my brand works with that.
Yeah, absolutely. What stage in the fashion supply chain do you think needs to be improved at the moment?
What stage?
Yep.
Governance. So tier 0, people at the top need to take this seriously and invest their resources in it. Because if the people at the end, who tend to be the billionaires, I was researching how much H&M's owners, what their salary is, and they're worth 25 billion at least. It's like, well, there's the power, because money talks. And also it's, it shows how skewed the supply chain is, because if the people in Bangladesh or in these developing nations weren't in poverty, they might have half of their billions, but they've still got quite a few billions. I think, so to answer your question, it's governance and the people who own these big businesses that need to change.
That needs to change. And my next question is more or less in line with this topic. How do you think that these materials and techniques get the chance to be accepted on a larger scale? What do you think would need to be done in order to build the awareness around this?
To build the awareness? Oh gosh, that's a big question. I think having access to more brands using these materials would be hugely helpful. I think schools. Okay, I'm not going to give you one answer. Sorry, I'm a bit distracted with the noise going.
No worries.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it definitely, probably like you said, it needs to come from the top of the governance and spread the word, and then diffuse it on all the levels. Yeah, and in addition to using the Pinatex, the pineapple leather at the moment, what do you intend to use in the future as other types of materials, such as maybe the mushroom eco-friendly leather or the bacteria eco-friendly leather? Or
so there's a company called Natural Fiber Welding in the United States, and they have a material called Mirum, which is still very much it is. They're sending me a few large pieces for prototyping soon, so it is sort of on the market now, but in limited quantities. That is 100% plants. They have some patented technology that means they can make this cool leather that doesn't have any plastic in it. So that's one I'm quite excited about, partly because they will talk to me. Bolt threads, too big, like only working with the biggest brands in the world. So, I'm not going to be on their radar. It's also looking at the size or where those companies have their own priorities.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, as a young brand, how do you guarantee to your customers the durability of your products?
Yeah, I test the products, of course, myself. That the one I showed you earlier, the Bosch bag, is something that I'm like, okay, can't sell these right now. They could then go on to my second sale where I sort of take the approach where you can say, listen, manufacturing doesn't always go to plan, rather than dumping these or like giving them to lots of friends and family. If you still want to purchase it, I'll of course offer you a better price. So I think it's also about changing the conversation about perfect products, which is probably not the best forum here because we're talking about luxury. I'm working on my end of life policy at the moment. I haven't perfected it. If a product needs repair, I will repair it free of charge anywhere in the world for the customer. So that's where I'm at with end of life right now.
Yeah, right. And one last question: what advice would you give to young students that are planning maybe to create a luxury brand, investing in sustainable products and materials? What would be the advice that you would give them to encourage them?
I would say really look at the financials, because manufacturing anything costs a huge amount of money, and make sure that your business can work. Then I would say start, because you can have these ideas and a lot of people, they're speaking to somebody last week. He's a what did he say? He was a wistful, entrepreneur. Like he works in finance, but he always wanted to be an entrepreneur, so he never did it. Is guess what I'm trying to say. So, and start small. I would also say so. Don't think about production for 1,000 units straight away. Like test the project, do a lot of sampling, a lot of testing, because as soon as you start production run, and it might not be perfect, then you can't sell them.
Yes, very good advice. Definitely good one. Thank you so much, Jessica. It's been a pleasure having you with us today and hearing your story.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Our next guest is the founder of the only producer in the world to make 100% natural sofas without using any plastics or toxins. D3CO produces a range of living room furniture that is completely biodegradable, made to last for generations, and above all, to produce no residue or waste when returned into nature. The company's vision is to bring truly sustainable, eco-friendly, and naturally green furniture to our homes and public places, making people feel comfortable. From making the furniture, customization, sales and consultation, and style experts, they have everything covered. Let's hear their story. Please welcome Mrs. Christine Sinderman. Good afternoon, Christine. Can you hear us?
Hello, hello, Paula. Can you? Yes, I can. Can you
Hello.
hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you perfectly. Thank you for being here with us today.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. This is very encouraging. Young people, universities setting up that type of event is really something that talks to my heart. And thank you very much for inviting me. It's really an honor to be here.
It's our pleasure.
So I'm Christine Sintermann. I'm the co-founder of DECO. So we make 100% sustainable sofas, and I'm going to talk to you about how that came about, like how we got into this, and also how we make it, like how the production process works. I'm going to start sharing. Can you see my screen? Is this working?
Not just yet.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear it. We can see it now. Yeah.
Okay, fabulous. Thank you so much. So, DECO is on a mission to inspire everybody to bring sustainable living into the home. And okay, there we go. And what we do, we think, is that we make revolutionary luxury sofas. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit, there. Why revolutionary? So imagine that you come home to relax, get out of your university or your workplace or wherever you're at the moment. You come home, open the door, you put off your coat, and then you sit down on your lovely sofa and you totally relax. Well, actually, you might not notice it, but you're sitting on big trouble. Why so? In a standard sofa, no matter where you buy it, you will actually find more or less 40 kilos of petrol-based plastic foam. This thing is glued onto a platform of plywood with lots of glues inside. The upholstery that is covering all this will be synthetic or a mix of synthetic and natural fiber. The threads will be nylon, and the whole thing will have probably come from a long way off, will have been impregnated with fire retardant, with chemicals that make it last longer, etc., etc. And actually, I don't know if you ever noticed, if you open a new box of furniture, like a delivery, you get this whiff of chemicals that comes out of the box. And actually that continues for quite a long time. Even after you don't really smell the first shock anymore, it will continue to breathe into your homes. Not so nice. And in the end, these things are, I mean, they're really big, 40 kilos. That is what, if you take away plastic bags at the supermarket every single day you go, at the end of a year, as an adult in the Western world, you will have used 40 kilos of plastic. We all try to avoid that, but in furniture, people rarely think about the impact, actually. And this huge block of plastic foamy things, it's all glued together. It's nearly impossible to recycle at the end of the life cycle. I'm very happy that Jessica just before talked about end of life cycle, because that is exactly one of the things that motivates us to do what we do, because these sofas, mostly sofas, but also other furniture, they just end up in landfill. They're impossible to recycle. And in the end, it goes into the water. You've got all the microplastics in the water, and it's really not good for us or for the planet. So the problem is, no matter how much you pay for your sofa, 500 euro, 10,000 euro at a luxury brand, since the 1950s, when petrol-based foam was invented, all sofas are made in the same way. There's like, no matter how much you pay. And so this is my husband. It's called Davide, handsome guy, Italian. My husband, Davide, comes from a family of 7 generations of furniture makers in the north of Italy. We're based a little bit north of Milan in the furniture district that's called Brianza. So that is the guy. And he actually, from when he was 14 years old, he worked and he learned in the family factories, he acquired the craft, he really loved the beauty of the designs. And then he started to learn at university to start to take over the family business. And one afternoon, he told me in class, a professor really changed his life. He was sitting in this dusty lab. I mean, this is like, we're talking about 20, 25 years ago. And there was this young professor and he talked about life cycle assessment. What if a product is not designed only with its use and sale in mind, but with the disposal at the end of the life? What if a producing enterprise takes full responsibility, not only for making the thing, but also to see it through to the very end? And he came out of there, he says, and he had questions buzzing in his mind, and he was super ready to take over the family enterprise and to go with the tradition, with making furniture, but he knew he wanted it to do it on his own terms, and he wanted a healthy, sustainable product. And then he looked at their own production, and was like, how am I going to do this? And what he actually did first, he investigated with his own family, because 7 generations of furniture makers, they were there before the 50s. And he talked to his father, he talked to his grandfather, and to other oldies that are in our area, because he knew there had been a way before the plastic came along, and he wanted to find that way again. So he had counsel from these oldies. And then he also met a couple of young inventors, like the pineapple, what we just heard. There's so many possibilities, so many people researching on eco-sustainable materials. And he started to pull in young inventors and also a lot of young designers who were fascinated to make big products in a sustainable way. And they created the first collection in nearly 20 years ago. It was ready for 2012. They showed it at the first furniture show, and created the brand Deco. And today we are, as far as we know, it can be like, we're the only company that makes 100% natural sofas. And we're super happy because now we not only make sofas that are beautiful on the outside, but also on the inside. And that's not very easy, because we don't, sometimes there's attempts at biodegradable, biological furniture, but it's all very square, very brown, very woody. Whereas what we do is like these sleek Italian designs, like with very daring curves, and it's not really easy to make that in a natural way. But we do, but it has been a long process. So here are a couple of our people. So you see because we're like very transparent who's on our team. These are like the main people who run our factories and run our business. David is in the middle. I'm on the right. I'm doing business development. The father of David is called Danilo, is like the old guy, the wise guy, and he's still sitting beside us every day, counseling us on technique and on traditional methods. We have a sewing department, a carpentry, of course, a couple of sales, marketing, and accounting people. And what we do here is actually we have workshops here where we prototype our things and our sofas. And all around us, there's like tiny little micro enterprises. There's seamstresses, woodworkers, people who do metal feet, people who weave textiles. And we're sitting in the middle of that all. And none of our suppliers is outside of a 5-kilometer radius. They're all here. And every single thing we use is certified by independent institutes. We use only things with certified eco labels. I'm going to explain later which these are. And but we also believe that a source of being true is being close to the supply. It's not only for the carbon footprint, because we don't want to fly in stuff from overseas, but it's also because like this we can make sure we know these people, we know their policies, We don't have to sort of trust paper they send us, but we can go look what they're up to in their own laboratory. And for us, that's very important. So, okay, so here we go. Now it's going to get really, really practical. How do we make our natural sofas? I'm showing an example. This is one of our bestsellers called Casquet on the right-hand side. As you see, it's a pretty modern sofa with very round lines, like nothing from the outside could tell you that on the inside it's actually completely natural. On the left-hand side, you've got like a little drawing that shows what is inside, and I'm going to walk you through these steps. So on the very left, like you see the edges of a wooden frame. We use only solid wood, no agglomerates, etc. It's made out of solid wood. Then underneath, you can see these little roundy things. These are traditional steel springs, which we put onto jute belts. Jute is a natural fiber. The steel springs, you can remove them, recycle them if you want to. Metal parts are nearly the only parts that we use that do not totally disintegrate, but their value is so high that you will never have any problem of people picking them up and doing something else with them, because the metal is a recycling cycle that works very well. So on top of the jute, you've got this little yellow layer, which with the little dotties inside, and that is actually 100% natural latex. Then comes a cotton felt leather, like pressed recycled cotton fiber. Then comes a white layer of textile, and then the final textile. And now I'm going to walk you through that. So first step, invent the sofa. So here on the left-hand side photograph, you can see the inventors of Casquet. It's a studio from Genova. They're called DDP Studio. They just won the Compasso d'Oro, is a very important design prize here in Italy, for the invention of a bionic hand that you can use if you have a war injury, etc. It's totally fascinating. They're very much into innovative stuff. And they also love furniture. So here you see an initial discussion around a mini model that they made to show us how Casquet works. Casquet has got these wings over the edges, like we have a version with the wings and without. Here it is with, and they're demonstrating how this should be working out and explaining the functionality of the piece. And what we then do when we get the initial designs from these designers is we do a whole lot of modeling. You've got these, like in the olden times, it was a lot with cardboard so that you can look at the shapes. There's a couple of cardboard shapes over there that we use for Casquet. And in the end, this is going to end up in a 3D designing program. We use a rhinoceros, but there's a whole lot of programs out there where we project these sofas. And this is also important because we have very strict measures, obviously, and later we need also to cut all the textiles. And that's a really complicated process in sofa making. So many pieces have to come together. So you need all these models also for the cutting machines. Next step. So sofa is invented, we do the base step. These are some of our wooden frames. This is actually 2 frames of Casquet in 2 different sizes there on the left. Somebody in our workshop screwing these together. We use dried beech wood. All our wood is FSC certified. That means Forest Stewardship Council, meaning this is responsible foresting from the European Union. This beech wood actually comes from my home country, Germany. So that's where these products come from. And we source it through a company here that sells only certified woods, that is like more or less 200 meters across the road from us. After the frame, we are making these inner frames with the jute and the springs. You see very well this technique where you have a crisscross of these jute belts and these metal springs that get fixed to it with metal clamps that gives it the initial bounciness and softness, and also the backrest and the side rests are also covered with these jute belts. And then when this is done, this gets hidden by another jute layer of like raw jute that will cover up this crisscross. Then comes the latex. The latex is this stuff with the little holes in it, which is very important component for us as it substitutes the foam, the classic foam that was always used. Now, latex is a little bit tricky. First of all, you have to take care of the quality, because so we use only 100% natural latex. However, know that if latex also matches is called natural latex without the 100%, it can contain up to 25% of petrol foam. Yes, it can. So unfortunately, this is one of the points where I'm really sorry for the consumers, because it's so confusing. It's so hard to know what really is sustainable and what is not. So we use only this 100% latex. It's very heavy. It's very expensive. But since we want a product that totally disintegrates without leaving a rest, this is the material we use. And then you can see that on top of that, there's this felty cotton layer out of recycled cotton to sort of hold it together and to give stability to that latex. Next, on the upper right-hand side, you can see that we put a white cloth layer on top of that cotton felty thing. Why is that? We want our sofas to last as long as possible. That means that if people live on them, have a party on them, have kids jump around on them, have a friend sleep on them, stuff gets spilled, covers get dirty. So you need to be able to take off the covers and clean them at any given point. And wait. Here in my showroom, so you can see like any cushion, you can see they all have these white insides. They can all be upholstered, unupholstered, and not only the cushions, but also the big frame has a mechanism underneath where you can, with little metal buttons, you can undo these buttons and tuck, and you can take the whole thing off, and you can, oops, no.
That's very practical nowadays.
Yes, I think it's necessary because our sofas, they are made, we really make them so that they last until the next generation. We want people to inherit them, and to make them last as long as possible, you need to be able to repair them. So we construct in these layers, and you need to be able to at least wash them if something spills. We think it's really unresponsible to not have that. So, and then the seamstresses get to work and they make the final covering. The final covering, we use only natural materials. Obviously, we use this, what I just had here. This is a very, very fine cotton that we really love. It's got a sort of a jeansy feel to it. We also use 100% linen. We use silk, and we use 100% cotton velvet and cotton satin as well. And that's about it for the textiles. Then here you see part of the cushioning process. So we do use feathers. Our feathers are certified with the responsible down standard, meaning that the animals are treated correctly. These are feathers that come out of a production that is mainly for food, and then the feathers get sort of taken off after the animals serve for food, which is very important for us. And you see these cushions being made, like on the inside there's latex, a latex block, and then they go into this feather cover. So it's like a fluffy cover around a fluffy latex block. However, we also know that a lot of our luxury clients, they want a vegan option. So since we do not use plastic at all, we invented other methods to replace these feathers with mostly with cotton. However, it's a little bit less bouncy because the feathers really give it that fluffy plushiness, and the comfort is a little bit different if you don't use feathers. But at the moment, there's not really an alternative, because if you sit on something like 365 days per year, again and again and again, there's like, at the moment, other types of natural fibers cannot really sustain that impact without breaking, meaning then you have stuff that sort of pokes you in the behind. So we're still researching for a feather-free, fluffy alternative, and I'm sure we're going to get there because there's lots of people inventing
For
it.
sure.
Yeah. So then it's nearly done. We measure it, we test it, we sit on it again, have a look if everything is to specifications, and then we've got a 100% natural, toxin-free luxury sofa. It's handmade in Italy. So this sofa, you can basically keep it for generations and replace all the parts, maybe sometimes put in new feathers every 25 years or so. You can reupholster it if you want to, it's very easy. Or you can just kick it out into the garden and it will disintegrate in a couple of years without leaving any rests, except for the metal feet that maybe you could take off before you dump it somewhere. And yeah, that's basically what we do. So I put a QR code in if you're curious.
So is it working if we scan it from our? Yeah, it's working.
It should be working.
For anyone interested, you can scan it. Yeah, with the mobile phone.
It should lead you to the page on our natural materials, since I was so very specific. But from there, you can also look around the rest of the web page and. Okay, so I'm gonna.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Christine, for the presentation. Very interesting. I have to admit that today, going home, sitting on my sofa, I won't see it in the same way I used to until now. I would definitely see trouble, but that's another story.
No, but I thought Jessica was very right. Like, producing natural doesn't mean that we have to discard the things we have, because that would just be a terrible waste. It means that the next time we invest in something, it is worth it looking at the alternatives and looking at what is out there.
Yep, absolutely. I'm curious to know, do you have an internal research and development department, or do you use an external company for this?
We actually do that internally, because we've got we pride ourselves in the artisanship of our people, and they are doing the development themselves. So inside, and my husband is very big on that. He loves fiddling with the new stuff.
Okay. Fantastic. That way you can really master and coordinate internally.
Yes.
By using these raw materials, renewable materials, is it easy to produce in high quantity, or do you produce in limited and more unique pieces?
Well, actually, there's a lot of made to measure in our market, because our sofas, they cost from 3,000-4,000 euro up until 15,000 euro, depending what, like the one we have behind here, the Raphael, it costs about 6,000 euro. That's one of our best sellers. And so people have very specific wishes, like often they would like to choose exactly the right color, or that one has like a velvet piping around and they want to choose the color of the velvet. And we have a lot to do with interior architects, designers, or we counsel the clients ourselves. So this is not a mass production. Like parts of it, like the framing, etc., we can prepare frames in advance.
It's more like a make-to-order approach.
Yeah, yes and no. I would say 50% are really with very specific wishes, not off the catalog, but something very, very specific, where also our interior designers counsel the people. We get floor plans, and then it's made. And half is off the catalog, people who will buy the standard colors that we offer there.
Yep. Amazing. Do you offer to take back the furniture and recycle it yourself if the customers request it?
Yes, we actually do. But we actually do. We also help get rid of old furniture they may have. Like when we deliver a piece, we take away the old and we try to We try to donate it so that there's still some life in it, that it gets reutilized even more, like we donate it to charity, or we see that at least it's discarded in the most responsible way possible. However, it's a little bit challenging because we deliver really all over Europe and worldwide. So making these arrangements is not always super easy, but we try. We really
that's already the first step in the process of succeeding. Do you also sell additionally like eco-friendly cleansing products for the furniture, or do you work with brands that do this in order to propose this to your customers?
No, not really. But I must say we have like at the moment we really do core production. Our core production is the sofas. This is really the unique thing we do, because making a wooden table eco-sustainable is also difficult, but not that difficult. So this is really our specific thing. And actually, I think I would love to include cleaning products or the likes to help our clients take care of the furniture also in a responsible way. But I think that's a whole thread of really finding out what's in this stuff and finding partners that are really 100% reliable, because absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. It has to go in line with the message that you're sending out to your customers.
Yes,
Makes total sense. Yeah. Do you have any partnership with any luxury brands in terms of producing for them sustainable furniture?
We do. I cannot name all of them, but there's a couple like luxury. The luxury world is getting more and more interested in sustainable furniture. Some come to us and already ask for it. Some order like normal furniture as it used to be made, also from us, because we also have a classic manufactory. Like we have the bio brand Deco, but also another made-to-measure shop, but which is getting smaller and smaller. And for example, today we delivered the furniture for the Louis Vuitton store in Paris. And they didn't want 100% natural, but we put some natural in anyway, like to the limits of what we could do with the price they were paying. And we have a request from Chanel on the table right now, and they want biosustainable.
Oh, fantastic!
It's not closed yet.
And good luck.
Yeah, no, thanks.
Yep,
I think people are coming round to this way of producing, and there's hope.
Yep, for sure. That's hope. Now you have a business focused on sustainability and ecology. How do you envision growing and expanding in the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years?
I think what we do is really essential. I think we're sort of at the crossroads, because furniture is taking the same way a little bit as fashion. Like it's getting faster and faster. There's so many brands out there that sell furniture like a fashion piece. That you buy a purple little chair, and if you hate it in 2 years' time, you just dump it and you buy another one. And I think that is profoundly wrong. I think if you hate the purple, then you need to get new cushions, or you need to reupholster, but not dump the whole piece. So we are growing fast, like especially fast now. During the pandemic, I think because people are more conscious about what they put in their homes. It's a little bit hard to say, but it's been a very good time for us. And what we also do is we're totally transparent about how we produce, and we try to teach our methods, because we believe everybody should build furniture like us. So we go into universities, we go into schools, we say yes when we're asked to speak, because we think that it's important to spread the word. And if there's other producers who are going to start producing like this, the more the better.
Yeah, that's a fabulous approach and mentality. Congratulations for that. One last question for you, Christine. What steps do you think it would be required in order to make sustainable furniture accessible and affordable to anyone?
Yeah, good question. I think it's a shift of the mind, mostly. Like if you expect to pay 600 euro for a sofa or 500 euro, you have to be conscious about what you're buying there. I'm not saying that it's, maybe let's start a little bit before. I'm like, affordable furniture is an incredible blessing for many people who even 30, 40, 50 years ago could not have afforded cute and nice furniture. And I think it's an incredible blessing that we can furnish ourselves and also rather cheaply, not sleep on the floor and have a decent living for all. However, when we have a little bit more money at our disposal and do not need to cover the first urgent need, but we talk about investing in something that is beautiful, and over our life we can maybe invest a little bit more in these pieces. I think this really has to be a mind shift, that people think, oh, I'm going to buy one piece that's going to last me 50 years instead of 5 pieces that are going to break at the next move. And I think people should be more confident in their choices and sort of feel more secure with what they're choosing, and not buy and dump. I hope.
I think it will come. It might take a little bit more time, but I think it will come. We're all getting more and more aware of, everything that we're using on our everyday basis.
Yes, that would be fantastic.
Well, thank you so much, Christine, for being here with us today. It's been really interesting talking to you. Congratulations and lots of luck for your upcoming initiatives with Deco.
Yeah, thank you so much, Paula. And if any one of the people who are listening has more questions, like go on the website, write to me, ask Paula where you can find me. We'll gladly talk to anybody and answer your questions if you're curious about us.
That's lovely. Thank you so much, Christine.
Thank you.
A graduate of the International University of Monaco, our next speaker is a young fashion designer that created the eco-responsible Monegasque brand Inessa Creations in 2019. Winner of several international awards, including a recognition by the Monegasque Fashion Chamber, Ines Bensala is a versatile and visionary artist known for using her talent to create emotional and iconic pieces, recognizable by their special and colorful touches. Let's hear her story. Would you please welcome Miss Ines Bensala? Good afternoon, Ines.
Good afternoon. Really happy to be here. How are you?
Thank you for being here. It's our pleasure.
My pleasure too. So, do you want me to share my screen with you?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. Now, I think it's like this. Voilà. Okay. So, hello, nice to meet you all. For the ones who don't know me, my name is Ines Bensala. I'm 23 years old, and as you told, I was graduated from IOM in 2019, and I built my brand during this year. And many amazing things happened, many amazing people, meetings, and more. The better things is that all this greeting led to one important thing, the recognition of values that was transmitted through artisanat and craftsmanship that led me to start the brand with those values of unicity, authenticity, colors, and art that are one of the main points of the brand and of the DNA of the vision that is obviously related closely to the concept of the unique creations from Inessa Creations Monaco, the 4.0 creative directions one, who are the DNA of the brand. Alors, to explain you, everything was born under an idea, a vision, a passion, of course, but most of all, willing of authenticity and something more human and more close to us, in a way where the transparency of social media can be or positive or negative, but in the way you can use it, you can really transmit like powerful visions, or also try to inspire or to create links between each of the people and see how they are like touched by or sensible by everything you project or everything you show, or how it is working. This is what I found fascinating about this field, fashion, art, or the most important when you do like your brand as a young entrepreneur, the network and the people you met around that like feed your spirit and help you to create like the borders and the scales of your world. So here we go. My product, we have the lines of Uni Creation where everything started. I will talk about it later with the big collaboration who helped me to get there, and the first big steps who made me help to be recognized. And after we have the couture lines who launched me during Monte Carlo Fashion Week 2 years ago now, and after in Milan, and now soon I hope due to the situation in Paris with the group, in the group LVMH, du coup, for the showrooms, so really good. And all of this because of the constitution of the production and the quality of what we bring to the table, in the way we marketed it, and in the way we work with really great suppliers through honesty and transparency. So the really big actions and collaboration that help us to like be there were, first of all, the collaboration with Unique Custom sweatshirt, jacket that was made to like help to give a new life to the clothes. That was the main like soul and energy of the project. And after we developed it in a way where couture after came and limited editions, of course, and just like few previews of a little bit of dream and a world where we can sell dream, and of course authenticity. The main things of the brand is like being authentic is the new chic. So in the authentic, when we say you are the creator because you create your own life, it means into artisanat. We will come to it later with the new job, artisanat du luxe, how we translated the artisanat of luxury couture handmade into mixing it with limited quantity that are starting to be like a concentration of marchandises, assez bonne marchandises, who going to like draw into lines really soon, but in all authentic and transparent way, and sustainable, obviously, due to everything we use, especially all the painting are handmade and brevetted by some granule that we work in. It's like chemicals that it's like when you chemist, you do your own like artisanal painting, and this is the kind of painting that stays with special mixture, like you know, when you do the scent of a perfume. We develop it the same with the going back into history where the painters used to paint with everything they found, or the granule or the capsule of the rocks and stuff, and take all the colors of even the plants they found. So we found something like a chemical way to make it in artisanat. And after having this line in 3D going out, and that was something like a touch that I made, and that made my scale to take value, and the clothes I was customized. I even with après we had the support of Matteo Mornar, a really famous artist in Monaco who worked with Prince Régnier and Sonaliste Ernestine. Du coup, it was an honor to have him mentoring and leading the way into art and history, into handmade and sculpture, because he makes sculpture. So I learned a lot about it. And of course, fashion, it came to the unique lines and couture, where I learned to sculpt the body and to define the line. Me, I can like do mistress because I had a formation and I learned how to do it, but I have like 2-3 mistresses to work on for each show, and at least I know how to make it, and to be behind and to see if the lines fit where I want with based on the sculpture or on the sketch, first of all. So this is where it starts. And yeah, through the collaboration, we made really this eco-responsible and human connection. Especially that's why I was really happy to collaborate with the first year of La Cérémonie des Déchets à Monaco, La CERD Monaco, where we organized with the Stars and Bars little activities, and with La Journée Monégasque de la Mode, we did little shows where I did a collaboration with like Croix-Rouge Monégasque. Why? Because we wanted to show how you can like translate the human fashion power through young people who don't have a lot of experience but have like something to say in Monaco, really cute, and who wore like pieces that people are giving to the Croix-Rouge, that we took, that we give in life again, and that we sold for the profit of La Croix-Rouge. So the main concept was to create a link between the human fashion power, where you give and after you receive, and at the same time you can create and give a new life to the people and give it to the people in need. So to don't waste, to make zero waste, because the Zero Waste Week, and also to enhance the beauty of a souvenir or something that means sentimentally to you. You can recycle, reuse it, and also give it life again. And that was the really big main points, even with the human value, even with La Croix-Rouge. And after we had other collaboration, especially this new one for the job that I'm really excited about it. So really the fact of creating sustainable fashion is not about, yeah, we are sustainable, everyone is sustainable, not at all. The fact is that you need to have like this DNA of creation that leads you to wanting to transmit a value for your children and for your future people that are going to still have your clothes or your stuff, because you need to give a legacy. Sustainability is legacy. It's more of having roots and creating more of it, or keeping it basically with everything you have close to you, like naturally, having like so many stuff that we can like work on, especially with all the science going on nowadays. Like we have so many like possibility. That's why like every time we try to choose the vêtements, some tissues that have really organic places are traceable, because it's really important to have traceability, to have, because the tissues that are traceable are the ones who you know where they are coming from, and you can go to the source, and you know that the people taking care of take care also of the stocks they are bringing. So you know with who. This is the clarity, the authenticity, the transparency we want, and it's also sustainability into the human contact and the human being of someone acting responsible again inside his field, inside the people who are working, to see who are they, how are they working, how they treat their co-workers, or how it is going the producing. Always choose high quality material in a way, because it leads to unicity and inclusivity. Because the fact is that to try to bring, I saw the speaker before was amazing, and I was really happy to pass just after, because she said it well. Sustainability nowadays is really about people who want to create their own and creations in a way and customize it. But I think also the future is that people will have the freedom to have sustainability accessible in a way, because it will be normal, and people will be more trained and used to these new techniques that people are still creating. That's why it's expensive. For example, when you work with local fabrics and transparent production with high quality, it's like especially for jersey and all the metal, when you do a big production like within furniture, is like between 30% and 40% more the price of a normal cotton-based tissue, you know. So it is really something that nowadays still a bit difficult to be accessible. But as I mentioned this before, the upcycling is the key to try to have this step into having first steps. waiting for the technology, the chemist, and the science to bring us accessible stuff, because they will know how to make it and to make it in numerous ways, because the fact is that most of sustainable stuff are artisanal based or even limited. That's why it's expensive, and some people, or they really want that, and they're, because they understand the value, or they understand it, but they think if they cannot buy it, they are not. So we can show them that they are when they try to create it in their way.
Right.
So this is the pact where we are part from. We are also a part of the National Pact for Energy Transition in Monaco, avec le gouvernement princier de Monaco. Du coup, really proud. We got our little attestation to show, because it was all about making all this event, about raising awareness to young people and children. And also me personally, as a volunteer at La Croix-Rouge Monégasque, on the summer we learn to little children how to plant their stuff and to create like roses from it, or to create colors on it, and to make like little stuff with the sand, and to build stuff, to show them how they can use their entourage and their way of living into a new way of transforming things, and see how they can help each other to open their eyes about leadership, about the waste, about. That's why Monaco is really engaged, and me, I'm really proud to be a Monegasque company, young Monegasque company, evolving into this country with so much support and activities to try to show to the youth and to learn and train the people inside the government, or into places that take this situation really serious, especially here in Monaco. So it's really important and really powerful, I think, because the more you speak about it, the more you express it, the more people understand that they can all be a part of it, and that at the end it's really easy. It depends just in your field and the way you want to see it. So even when I did my production, I'm a new startup, I have a limited budget, and I was like, okay, it's really expensive to make like even limited quantity on the job with this kind of quality. And I found the package and the stuff, and the idea was so great that I was like, on the name of the quality of the, like, you really see the difference. And me, I really wanted products sourced locally, and with the quality and the form that fits all UNICEF and still accessible to people, and transmitted this value of unicity, sustainability, and of course this kind of mix that I wanted to make, because I collaborate with a French startup brand, French startup company, Green and Hard, who collaborated with me on my package. So they're amazing. They are French, and they're like making this amazing compost in maize, okay, compost validated by the government and stuff. Like, they're amazing, and they are like between 180 and 360 days. It's become compost, and you can like plant green. You can plant stuff like this.
Amazing, yeah.
And when I found that, I was like, this is the perfect mix between my physical, like technical painting journey and the launch of the drop that is the beginning of the commercial launch internationally, as we are selling internationally. So, of course, we put all the messages and we tried, they did all the tests on, because now they're pretty famous. And this is really good, because I was really happy to introduce that and to show that even when you have a startup and you start, no matter where you start, even the little action you take, or the help you get, or the partners you go affiliate with, will show the road to others. Because now I'm, for example, in front of you, my little sister knows that I did that, and she really didn't know at first how to express sustainability, or when to say this is sustainable or not. And this is all little like plans that you put in people's mind that help them to see how to connect the dots and to implement the stuff. This is all the compostable biodegradable envelope, and of course all our etiquettes are made in France, sourced en compostable. en coton bio. Donc, c'était très important. It was really important for me as a young designer entering this world and for my children in the future to live in a place where they will find it totally normally and it will be so much integrated into their blood and their mind that it will not be even a question to ask for or to guess what it is. Or to dump, maybe I hope it will be more accessible because they will do so many like new discovering and new tried on so many stuff that it will become more open and more in more pieces, for example, because of course it's rare, so the prices are more up because of the producing. It's a lot of artisanal handmade, a lot of time, so it's almost like couture, you know, like I want to compare it to
Definitely.
so it's really like limited, and this is, I think, in the future it will be more normalized because of the fact that I just told. But to come like to a produce we use, so we really took care of just having like partners really non-toxic, short lifespan, and really having this experience of having like a bag that will transform, and it's not a plastic bag, and it is like nice, even the smell, like me too, at the beginning I was like, this is crazy. So I really love this kind of experimentation and discovering of new people, new network, and new person. I can try to show you like a bit the past, and then with my experience with the association I'm working with, the children, I see the way they start to think, the way like the school is also really on it, and the way Monaco is developing all their infrastructure on it. I think we are in a good way, especially here and around the world, with so many like great entrepreneurs and people spreading awareness about that, creating so many new articles into architecture, into fashion, into so many fields that is becoming like really natural. So what's next? What's next? We just launched our Savage Drop 001 today. 100% jersey bio too, so the quality is amazing, and of course it's sustainable, sourced sustainable, work produced here in Les Vosges, en France, avec l'usine d'LVMH now, because we are partnering with them in the incubator, little incubator, so I'm really proud of it. So that's why we're going to do International Fashion Week, I hope soon. And by the way, we started the launch of the commercial this period, so today. And
congratulations.
ouais, it's going to be Bon Génie en Suisse, Saks Dubai, Farfetch, ici à Monaco, à Bastia aussi. And I hope the showroom opens soon. Normally we do it in June, July, les showrooms du LVMH, donc c'est trop bien. Donc c'est ça. Donc la marque, the brand is really developing into like basic with its retail, with a lot of development in limited quantity, of course. So sweatshirt, joggings, blazers, all the stuff that we did in unique pieces, now are printed like paintings, but are printing internally. So it's even less using water in the printing stuff. So yeah.
Super.
Yeah. Voila.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Ines, for the presentation, and congratulations for everything that you've achieved so far. You're definitely on the right track to success. We would like to know, how do you trace the origin of the raw materials that you use in your collections? Do you use any particular tool?
Alors, the particular tool we have is the measurement of the producer we work with, because all the production, especially here in France where everything is numérotate, like when I say this, dans ce slide I mentioned it, the tissues are traceable and the raw material is traceable. So when you work with local and transparent production, you have all the measurement of security, of sustainability, of compost, and the use of the raw material they got. So this is your choice after, and you go in the style you want, depending on your budget, especially most of time is that, because a lot of, especially here in France, they are really aware of the value of the sustainability and the effect of it into people's mind, because they know that now the youth or people from new generation are more aware about it, and will not like be attracted by something that is not like really authentic, or that don't have like value of ecology for the future, because they're trained and raised on this way. So obviously they propose like, and they are more trained to be engaged into this field. So when you get in contact with them, this is almost the first thing that's crazy, because this is almost the first thing they propose to you, and they show you to implement you into their work and stuff. So I think this is quite good working, because in the way
I think
people now are really into it.
probably a connection.
So the first attention of being like curious, or the one who just want to like do greenwashing or stuff, or the one who really wants to do it, they really catch something where people, they saw that they are really into it. So it's good, because at the end people are trying to be even more, and they don't have the choice just to be transparent. So at the end, and you trust the production and the traceability of the this is the most important, because after you can have them, even for your supplier, for the boutique, for the credibility, for the clients, for even you and your own being, because the traceable and raw material are really different, and you know where they were and how they were, and the artisanal that was put in, you really feel the difference. So from a fashion designer point of view, it's really about this side.
So you would say that this is maybe the most eco-responsible part of your creations, the traceability?
We totally but the most important one is the section unique creation that I still made on demand and sur mesure. C'est les créations uniques who are the DNA of the brand, who are on mesure. It is art on basically a jacket or stuff. You can bring an old one and give it to life, so it's less expensive.
Yeah.
This is the project, to make it less expensive when you bring something, to renew it, to push people to do it too, and to learn how to do it, even choose and stuff. So it's really fun and it's really amazing. And after, when you have like this aggregation of art, I was really happy to work with this amazing artist, Madonna. So after, when you go into art field, it is another field, but it's a field where I still have my feet on, and will evolve on it parallelly, because the two for me goes together. So you know, they have the brevet of authenticity that's really important, and this is what I still have into this value of sustainability, authenticity, and of course passion into the way, even the curious, when you are curious and you want to look for something, even when I catch this brand, I wanted to be sure if it's not when washing, or if it's, how it is made. Like, we passed like 6 months searching and working and asking questions and seeing the development of the video. Like, I will post on my website actually the video how they made it, because it's actually insane. And me, when I was like this, like, this is the future, literally, just because of the way that you know that the brain of someone can create like a whole new and at the same time save like oxygen and save like human things and stuff. This is just
absolutely.
Value and fire need to implement it to people's heart. And for the one who are checking on it, just please be curious and search well into people who will recommend you true stuff, especially in this period. There is so many like mixed stuff or greenwashing or stuff. So you need to be to feel it. That's crazy, but you feel it, and you know where to go. Especially when you go locally into sourcing, and you have this fact, and of course all this amidon, compost, and all these things drafted by the National Chapter of Ecology and the government.
Absolutely. Tell us, do you plan to use more sustainable fabrics for the production of your clothing, such as maybe the seaweed fiber, like the Pangaya brand did, or the orange fiber?
Alors, not at all. Us, we only put le jersey bio. We choose this fabric especially for his légèreté and for the summer, and for all the new implementation of the brand, especially for the fiber inside the sweatshirt, you know. We are looking for that. So, because we are at the beginning of the development, and our first like literally to follow our little story since day one. So we go back to the roots. And now, with pleasure in the future, especially, I think with, I was really interesting about the fiber of the plum, the apple. I think this one has potential. So I will try to see how we can make with our budget, like special items or little stuff also to start with, to really because me it's something that interests me.
Yeah.
And yeah, just especially
fantastic.
Fake for or fake du faux cuir into Apple. They really do that for bags and stuff to transmit it to Apple, or even like in the car fashion week, they have des cerceaux qui fait en peau de cactus, des cuirs de cactus. It's amazing.
Yeah, there are so many possibilities nowadays. It's really, it's huge. Do you intend to develop your creations in a way that they are accessible to everyone in the world, let's say, or do you prefer keep it more limited for a particular target audience?
Alors, the both. That's why I have multiple ways of channels in my brand, Unique Creation, and the limited edition. Prêt-à-porter de luxe, who is growing lines that are dropping.
So luxury ready to wear.
Luxury ready to wear, couture edition. And of course, all the edition that will stay, like all the t-shirt, all the basics that will stay main content of the brand, and that we will resell and rebrand with our partners. I will just launch internationally. So future we are bases now. We're just going to do, I hope, Japan, due to the pandemic, and Brazil. This is the two destinations I want for new vision, especially in Brazil. Deserto came from there, and there is so many new ways of working, and Japan are really into it. So I need to take. And I think this is more this kind of country when I want people to touch stuff that have quality, that have a human behind it, that have something with a message and a value to add to the product, obviously, with the price that's still in the middle, neutral. Goes with the quality price, of course.
Very good. How do you think fashion will evolve in the next years, from your point of view?
Alors, in my point of view, I think fashion will evolve totally into with a green vision, of course, because even people who will not be green will not evolve at the same pace, because we are aware now, as I told you before. And I think I told you a bit my mission about that, children's knows, and now they're trained since little to be more aware and to know more how to localize and to understand what is sustainability, what is being green, what is don't wasting, what is just having the ability to just have something and putting on the trash direct, to don't waste, just these little thoughts that them have more pressure than us. That's crazy. Even if sometimes when I do it Croix Rouge and stuff, I don't like it too much to put that pressure, because it's a whole pressure actually for little children, but they really took it seriously. So I think for the future of customers and stuff, even the brands will need to.
And especially it's a long process of educating the mentality of the consumer, which will take quite some time, in my opinion.
Totally, but at the end it will be accessible for everyone. Before for the cuir and stuff, for the now it's finished. Now they develop a fake one, and it's even less expensive, at least than the real one, you know what I mean? So they develop it that now even sustainability that seems expensive because it's artisanal mostly and really exclusive. Even the people who produce it don't have a lot to sell or to produce because it's really limited quantity. That's why the prices seems high, but at the same time, of course, you pay quality and time and artisanal craft. But the fact is that in the future it will not be a problem. So there will be a lot of ways to implement it and more because it will be normal. It's bio now. It's more easy for us than before. That's crazy. So I think it will go in this way for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. Now, you as a young fashion designer, tell us what were the main challenges that you encountered in order to maintain a sustainable supply chain?
I love, of course, the price. The price, we go back to it. It's really important to say, especially as a young entrepreneur. So you really need to, when you start, you don't think about, oh, I'm going to be green. Just no. It's really something if you do it. It's because you have like really something to say about it and to share into the brand value, to be something that is from the root of your plan and your business and your idea, to sell it and to have the strength even to you to have your product that you love and that you believe in. If you're selling something that you don't believe in, it's not fun for me. It's like this because I'm really passionate and I know what I want. So I got my mind on it since a long time, just wanting to be more aware about the process because it's really like blurred. You never know where to start, as we talked before, where to go, what to producer, if it's true, no. So you do your research, and after, if you really want that, you track it, and after you find a way to develop it and to find, en fait, tu fais des compromis. You compromise.
Yeah, it's always about that, isn't it?
Start, of course, but after, like with time, in 2-3 years, it will be more okay to develop it.
Yeah.
Every pieces, you know. So, but for sure, even the sweatshirt that are going out, there's the view and the inside. Especially now that we focus on that is breathed and composted and all this kind of value. I love the compost way of sustainability, because for me it's like an experimentation as I work a lot with my hands and I love to create, you know, for me something evolving and taking a new form, like metamorph, like I will do like for sure it's inspiring so much. Like, this is amazing. And all this package and all this project, like, just came back to life after like years of COVID. So I'm really excited that it launched, that it was well.
Well, you're right to be. You're right. You have everything you need to be excited. It sounds
it's
really amazing.
Planet, even if now it's quite complicated with the water and stuff. We are here trying to make some change. And en fait, c'est vraiment about don't waste. Like, even in a way, the time you put into searching and just act. Really, it was about all acting now and trying to find a way to do
exactly. Acting now, that's a good point. Definitely a good point. Ines, do you really think that luxury is compatible with sustainability? Because now you are working in this industry. What's your point of view on this?
Sorry, can you repeat it, please?
Do you think that luxury fashion is compatible with sustainability?
Yes, totally. Especially in all the aspects, and especially nowadays, as we said before, it's artisanal, exclusivity, sorry. It's really about creating a dream for a person that is exclusive and that she will have from a rare material. It's almost like la bijouterie when you create a jewelry or something. You create a piece, you create a form of architecture, as the woman before spoke so wisely, because she was totally right. It's exactly that. People want something that fits them, that they take the lead on, they create, and that they transform what they think of. So they are more into this freedom of trying to create and want exclusivity. And that's why it's really important to understand that people's customers' mind is evolving, and the sector of unique pieces, of unicity, of exclusiveness is going far. And I think this is the fact where we will tend to wait for the sustainability to be more accessible, because sadly and good for people working, in a market where people will not try they will try to stay having this field and this techniques of development just for piece of people or client. And I hope and I wish it would be like developing to normalizing, because I think they can be on, but the market is too new and they find, unfortunately, and good a market on it. And this is the point where we need to develop it in so many stuff that we already passed through, like je sais pas, like the cuir,
like leather, like
before it was mean that you are really, and now when you wear, you're like, no, don't wear it, you know, it's So mentality change.
Absolutely.
This is
Absolutely.
And at the same time, I wish it will be less compatible. Even for us, to produce more.
Yeah, for sure. Ines, tell us what are your plans for the next 5 years, let's say, to develop in terms of sustainability?
Alors, developing internationally with and keeping this value of gestion interne en fait, keeping this value of humans value, working with only positive people. This is really important for keeping like a positive mind and to act, to have the power to act and to be clear in your mind and to go straight to the point. So it means that you need to go abroad, to take from abroad and discover so many like new way, as we talk of new tissues, a new way of producing, of leathering, of like firms. Like this is really a vision that I have into implementing. Also a new way, maybe discovering or creating a new way of having like packages and stuff. Really to this always artistic and chemicals way of discovering and testing out. I love the way of also Tommy Finger did it this year. Amazing. They tried to like create like a leather with like the apples, as I was telling you.
Yep.
Every time at a point you have the turn in 5 years, I wish déjà it would be more accessible than they have now, because I wish I would have their success, but wait, it's already hard.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, for sure. And after going internationally, of course, and being careful with everything to be traceable, to be like into hand control in the way where I know where the things are going, to who and how they are produced. That's why my and after developing and still searching to see how it's evolving, because I think we live in a fascinating era of new discovery, and I think we have also many ways of finding new way of doing sustainable fashion or producing locally and sustainability, especially with the craftsmanship. I think we can develop a lot of the craftsmanship and integrate it in a way where we can like try to take it out of this inclusivity and opening a bit. I hope this is what I do the drops with like 300 items to start. It's not like 10, it's not like 1,000.
Well, we wish you lots of luck anyway with all your upcoming projects. Do you have any advices for your younger colleagues that are looking to create like fashion brands?
Act now, for real. Everything you have in mind.
Good one.
Now you will find a way. Just like don't stress and take your emotion for you. Like try to work on you, work a lot on you, because when you know yourself, you know how to handle challenges and like just like eat life. Like just
lovely. Very good one. Very good. Thank you so much, Ines, for being here with us today and for sharing all this with us.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure.
Thank you. So it looks like that our final speaker has some technical issues, so we will end our first sustainable conference here. Thank you, all of you, for your questions and your attention. During this conference, we have been nourished with brilliant presentations from top experts on matters related to sustainability in the luxury sector. The program has successfully managed to present different fields connected to environmental issues and offer beautiful ecological alternatives to resolve them. In addition, they are always keeping the excellent quality and longevity of products. We were able to touch on many critical points in the vital topic of sustainability, from the production to the distribution to the usage of raw materials. I wish to thank all the speakers who took the time to prepare the impressive presentations to which we had the privilege of listening. Our guest speakers have discussed many key aspects of their different businesses and how they process in the manufacturing and distribution of their products. I would also like to thank the conference organizers for their time to enable this gathering of like minds to occur. We are fully appreciative of your generosity, commitment, and your professionalism. With these few words, after an interesting working session, I now declare the first Sustainable Luxury Conference officially closed.